Sunday is meant to be the day of rest, but not for me today. You guys hit 5,000 likes on Friday, so I'm sat here, technically on Saturday, but the video goes up on Sunday, to record another episode of Park to Prem for your weekend viewing. It is the 1st of July in-game. It is the start of the transfer window. Transfer window's open all the time for us, but it's the first day where players have been released. I have wage budget. That's why we're here. Tangents aside, I'm looking forward to this. There's lots of rebuilding to do, plenty of stuff to cover. Before we do all that, though, let's run the intro. Welcome back to Park to Prem, welcome back to Guernsey. Today is episode number 5, and today, as I already mentioned, we have a transfer window, but there's a few things on screen here we probably should address immediately. The first one, there's rumours of a board takeover. Now, we talked about it last episode, but financially we are a little bit in the red. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to get some income coming via season ticket sales and also via a load of pre-season friendlies that I've organised against Football League teams. It should maybe give us a bit of money in gate receipts. That's the plan, at least. Despite that, though, Marc Letitia is considering selling the club. Naturally, my first instinct when I hear rumours of a takeover is, oh my word, I'm going to be sacked. This could be bad. Get a new contract. And well, the good news is I was able to get a new contract. So we've got a 2-year deal on £200. Because it's a longer contract with a slightly larger wage than what I was on before, the compensation to sack me early is a bit bigger, so good for job security. Does eat into the wage budget slightly, though. The other thing that is certainly worth acknowledging before we get too far into things today is we have moved divisions this year. We are now in the Southern League Division 1 South. We've not been promoted, we've not been relegated, but as part of all the teams moving up and down within England, relocations happen on the regular, and well, as for ourselves, we've been moved to the Southern League, which geographically is actually closer to us. In real life terms, it would be more difficult to get to these games because the airport that flies to Guernsey is Gatwick, south of London. All the teams that we're going to be playing are in the southwest of England. The league that we've moved into is a weaker division, though, which I think is going to hopefully play into our hands. Pre-season right now, we are predicted to finish 3rd, and within this league, 2 of our players in the Media Dream 11, Scott Williams, the centre-back, Ellis Vaughan, the centre mid. Of course, the 2 young Welsh players, 2 players I really want to build around. Unfortunately, Williams is not happy with me right now because we didn't build those training facilities I promised. You might remember it, when I signed a load of players, I promised them all training facilities. For the most part, they've been okay with the broken promise. Ellis Vaughan, not unhappy, not asking to leave. Unfortunately, though, Scott Williams, his compadre, less forgiving, less charitable. He hates my guts now. So aim for today, not sell Scott Williams, try and make him happy, maybe, take him out, wine and dine him, whatever it is that 17-year-old centre mid, maybe not wine, but whatever it is I need to do to make him happy, we're going to try and do that. Just looking at our team going into this new season, of course, the transfer window is now open. We had a lot of the old guard who had contracts expiring at the club, and I managed to get them to sign new deals, but bit unique for people who perhaps aren't familiar with the lower leagues. These are the pay-as-you-go contracts where there is no salary. If they make appearances, players like Fazakli, he'll get paid £150. And all of these players that you see on the squad screen with no wages basically have these pay-as-you-go contracts. Players like Frank Tobin, who actually was an okay backup towards the end of last year. There's actually a few more as well in the under-21s. And what it means is I can keep the old guard around, but they're not actually taking any of the wage budget, which is a big thumbs up and should help us out a little bit financially. Just whilst I'm on the under-21 screen, we don't actually play any competitive games with this team, which is a bit unfortunate, but this year, going into the new season, we've established an under-18s team that are going to be playing in the National Under-18s League, so a big step forward for us. No one's mentioned it in the comments as far as I've seen, but I didn't actually talk about last year's youth intake. The reason for that, it was rubbish. At this level, the players that you get in these intakes are never going to be that good. The most notable of the players, I guess, was Caddy Dandy, who has a fantastic name, but at 16 years old, as a centre-back, I don't think he's ever going to play for us. But he's here. We'll keep an eye on Dandy. If we have an injury crisis, maybe he comes into the team. Right now, the wage budget is at £3,100. We are spending £2,000 of it. So there definitely is some money to reinvest into the first team. Now, there is one new face here, Alfie Clark, the only player I've signed so far this pre-season. He was a left-back who had a lot of interest in him. He was playing for Frome. I think it's Frome. I remember watching a video on this town about how it's the most commonly mispronounced place in the world. I think it said Frome. If it's not said Frome, then I just clearly didn't pay enough attention to that video. But the team that Alfie was playing for actually won the division that we've moved into this year. So that's kind of an interesting thing of note. This man has been promoted from this division. And as far as left backs go at this level, yeah, he has 2 crossing and 1 dribbling, but he can defend, he can run. He's a super consistent performer. And I think there's a lot to like. So Clark's new addition is a good one. The other place I'm particularly concerned about really is the midfield. Right now, we're lined up in a 4-3-1-2, but truth be told, I am coming around to the idea of playing some kind of 4-4-2. Last year, we didn't have the depth nor the quality in the wide areas to play with wingers. We have an opportunity in the next month before the season starts to achieve that. If we go to this system, Vaughan is going to have to learn to drop deeper and play as a regular centre mid, which I think he'd be able to do quite well. I do, however, have a few concerns that between him and Patrick Grooms, we might be lacking a little bit of a box-to-box midfielder or someone who's a bit more mobile and a bit more defensive. Most realistically, we'd be looking at something with Vaughan and then maybe a box-to-box midfielder, maybe a ball-winning midfielder alongside him, maybe Grooms drops down to the bench. If we can't find the wide players, though, the chances are we will go back to the narrow system. Last year, Ellis Johnson played at centre-back for us a lot. He is naturally a right-back, and at least to start this season, I think we're going to try playing him as a right-back. If we have some money left over at the end, maybe we'll get in a right-back to nip in the pecking order ahead of him. But at least for now, he's going to play out there with Williams in the middle this year. I would like to get in a new centre-back. I actually think we have the core of a really, really good team. There's no immediate concerns of the players currently selected. I think the bench has a little bit of quality, and perhaps the most notable thing is the players who aren't being paid any money aren't the players in the starting 11. So if we can have a starting 11 that is salaried to us, that is protected, that'd be great. I'm not adverse, I suppose, to the idea of having a whole load of backup players who have these pay-as-you-go contracts, which does mean they can leave at any time. But what it does mean is we've not got a load of money being drained away. One other little thing of note, my assistant manager retired. I know, how dare he. So we have got a new assistant manager, Matt Darby. He could be my right-hand man from now until the end of time. At least for now, he's on a 2-year deal. Our goalkeeping coach has also left the club. He retired as well. Everyone was retiring. I don't know if that's a reflection on me. Maybe they hated working under me. But it does mean there is an opportunity to maybe bring in a new coach. But at least for now, I want to focus on getting players through the door. You're never really going to develop players at this lower level of football where most of your players are part-time anyway. And even with this absolutely atrocious setup you can see here, we do actually have above average coaching for this division. The standard tier, they're not that high. Appreciate a hell of a lot of stuff to cover going into today's episode, but I think context is important. With that all said and done, shall we go and actually go player searching, find some players? The way this is going to work is I'm going to play about a month in game time, come back at different periods. I'll come back when interesting stuff's happening. Editing Jack then takes all that footage, makes it into kind of an amalgamation of a story that makes sense, and hopefully in the next 20 to 30 minutes of watching, we have a good team. That's the plan. Despite the fact we're struggling on the finances front, I do feel like recruitment for the next month at least is going to be important. So I've upped our scouting range to the whole of England. My plan is to basically go crazy looking for players for a month, then scale it down. With that in mind, we're immediately looking at a centre-back. There's a couple of players here that I've had a peek at that we've already got scouted. McReady, we're going to bring in on trial. He looks like he could be an okay player for us. I suppose the benchmark this season is going to be Ellis Johnson, who was our centre-back last year. Compared to Ellis, maybe George isn't quite as good. Of course, at this level, with our current scouts, the stars are a bit of a guideline. We really have to use our own judgment. The other man that I'm kind of interested in is Harvey Bertrand. Probably not as a starter, but the fact he can play anywhere across the defence at this lower level is amazing with 5 subs. Neither of these really the starter I'm looking for, though. Leon Pambou here looks absolutely amazing. He is a free agent. He was released by Southampton's academy. Of course, they're down on the south coast. They've actually been relegated in this save game. He might be available. Why show him in the doubtful section if he doesn't want to sign for me? You know what, like my year 9 disco, I'm going to shoot my shot. I'm going to invite him for a trial. Worst thing he can do is say no. Right now, I'm just looking at centre-backs sorted by world rep, but to be honest, the ones at the top here don't really look like anything special. There's a few other different bits that we can do. The first is to look at players with international caps, because logically, if you played international games, you're quite good. None of those exist for us. Another filter that can be really good, though, is international youth apps. These are players who have played at least one game for youth international teams. There's a few older players here. There's also Scott Tancock, who is a Welshman, apparently played for Wales' under-21s. What is it about all the Welsh players in our team? I will just talk about it real quick because it comes up fairly often. I do play with YouTube saves with attribute masking off. Couple of reasons for that. As a viewing experience, it's way better when we're looking at opposition players, when you can see exactly how good they are. Especially at this level, people probably haven't managed at this level before, so it's nice to give them an idea of what's a good player, what's a not so good player. What it does mean is that when I first look at players like this, I can kind of review them a little bit quicker. Still though, I like to offer them trials because it's really important to know about players' consistency, injury proneness, potential, and all the other hidden bits that you just can't see at a glance here. I never search by attribute, so I'm not someone who's going to fill in the best roles and just sign the best options possible. For me, it's just not how I enjoy playing the game. But the beauty of Football Manager is you can play it however you want. I did want to see if there was any loan options available at centre-back, but there aren't any. I'm wondering if there's any loan options in general. Of course, with the current financial predicament, getting in a few freebies would be nice. Realistically, we're looking at maybe a handful of players from the National League being interested in joining us. At a glance, none of them look exactly like what we're looking for. If I am going to play the 4-4-2 this year, I think between Vaughan, Grooms, Medine and Govan, we've actually got some good centre mid options. Maybe you would need one more for depth, but really it's the wide areas that have to be a priority. We have some coverage out on the left in Matt Loring, but when it comes to right midfielders in the team, we have no right midfielders. So if this is the plan, wide players are the order of the day. Unfortunately for us, there's no loan options in this position either. So I'm looking at right mids with contract status expired. There's actually a few interesting ones here. There is Nick Clayton Phillips. He is playing for Avelchurch, who, of course, in real life, I think have gone on a really good FA Cup run this year. Last year, he was playing in the Southern League Premier Central, got 7 goals, 5 assists. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is the league above us. In fact, it is the league above us, so he could be a really good transfer. Because he's contracted to a club, probably not going to be able to trial him, so we will just get a scout report on him and see what's what. Another right mid who's currently a free agent is Kai Livingston. He is actually a Gibraltar international, played for Larne in the Northern Ireland Premier League for the last few years. In fact, made an appearance as well. He doesn't look too bad. The amazing thing about players like him are great acceleration, great pace is always going to serve you well. He wants to be an important player. I'm going to lower it to regular starter. Gonna have to make the promise I can't keep again, aren't I? He wants an appearance fee of £405 or £450. I can't even read the number, it's so big. So I don't really want to go above the £100 a week. Let's see if there's even a negotiation to be had here. I can give him a bit of a signing on fee. That is physically hurting to offer this stuff. He's probably going to hate me for this. He hates me for this. I will offer him a trial anyway, just to see if he'll come on trial. Often, if you annoy a player, you can offer them a trial, and then when they join, you can immediately start negotiations again. So maybe we can restart negotiations. Or worst case, we wait a few weeks and his demands get lowered. I was just having a look at left midfielder options. There's Fedel Ross Lang here, who looks absolutely incredible. Another player released by Southampton, who doesn't think we have the money to realistically sign him. We'll offer him a trial. I realise I've not yet hit continue and I've been here for 15 minutes talking about different filters you can use, some of the different settings that I use and why. Ultimately though, I'm not making a whole lot of progress. I think my best approach for this video is going to be to come back once I've identified transfers I actually know are going to join us. Otherwise, there is going to be a perpetual loop of heartbreak and Editing Jack has to edit out the heartbreak and he doesn't need that trauma. What I will say is, there's another player here, Sam Bailey, who's been released by Southampton. I'm beginning to get a feeling that Southampton are going to become a friend of ours over the save game. I feel like I should be looking at teams like Portsmouth as well. Other teams on the South Coast who release their players, maybe we can hoover up all the talent that they decide doesn't have a future with them. I've just got the inbox item that'll be really useful in a few years' time, where we get told about all the players being released around, well, England. Don't think many of them are going to want to join me. Scott Carson, do you want to chat? He doesn't want to chat. I was just looking through the Media Dream 11 in our league, looking at options that might be available, and also just to get an idea of the quality of wingers in this league. Players like Toby Holland look good. Doesn't want to relocate to Guernsey. Apparently the financial package I can offer isn't enough for him. But one thing I've just noticed is Dan Bartlett here, who plays for Wimborne Town, this man is on £450 a week. Now, to be fair, he is the highest earner at Wimborne Town, but the players that they have salaried are on outrageous money, and at least compared to our players, it's not fair. They've got more money than us. I say that like it's a totally new, unique thing in football, some teams having more money than others, but at least when I'm trying to get promoted, and there's only one automatic promotion spot, Does make me a bit nervous for the new season with Wimborne as favourites. I don't want to alarm any Park to Prem regulars. Dylan Crow's available. Dylan Crow, the hero that is. And he was showing up as a realistic transfer and I can't sign him. Should we just offer him a try? We can try, can't we? If you know, you know. If you don't know, go watch last year's Park to Prem. That's all that I need to say. As you can see, offering quite a lot of different players trials at the moment. Bad news, Dylan Crow turned down my offer. I realise something that I've not actually done yet, albeit we're only 3 days into things, is ask the director of football to suggest transfer targets. Maybe he knows some right mids and left mids that I've not heard about. I mean, we've got some suggestions here. Lucas Davidson, he's a Scottishman playing in the... What league is this? Forest Mechanics. He's playing in the Scottish Highland Leagues. Not going to question how he knows about this guy. Suppose we should also just ask about left midfielders as well. We need all the midfielders. I need centre mids as well. I'm still looking for my kind of player to go alongside Vaughan who can do a bit more for us. I'm looking through these teams. A lot of these teams look Scottish, Irish and Welsh. I feel like we've got a load of knowledge of just everywhere but England. It feels like when it comes to these players. Ryan Waters here looks like a really good player. He was thrown up as one of the director of football suggestions. He is a left midfielder, loads of pace, really good dribbling as well. Cameron Berry here looks pretty good. Former Swansea youngster. I think we'll get him in on trial. I suppose while we're here, we might as well just ask about centre-backs as well. It feels like he's got a contact book for everyone, our director of football. I realise I'm talking about director of football suggesting players. It's actually our assistant manager. We don't have a director of football here. First signing of the transfer window. Might have broke the bank to make it happen. Kai Livingston has joined us. He's been on trial with a load of other players just during these early stages of pre-season, but the Gibraltarian was someone I wanted to get in. Yes, he's mega inconsistent. Yes, he's injury prone, but I think he's worth a gamble. We are kind of committing now to the 4-4-2. The fans are giving him a B-, should be a regular starter, has the potential to play in the league ahead of us. And he's here for 2 years. I think that Kai's going to be great. I mean, I hope he's going to be great. Otherwise, massive waste of money. For people wondering how I've got my free scout set up, I've only got 3. I've got one who is looking at players 15 to 23 who are available as free transfers, one who is specifically looking at left and right midfielders, and then one just looking at general transfer players who might be good options for us. In the 15 to 23-year-olds, there's a few interesting options, but not really in positions I need. This is a really broad kind of scouting task with no real focus. There are some players in progress. Are any of these any good? I mean, Dylan Crow's there. Makes you sad. Matt Casey. He looks really good. 23 years old. 16 jumping reach. He could be the set-piece weapon we've been lacking. He wants to be a star player and he wants us to get promoted. I can't guarantee him that. He wants £600 a week. Never mind. Am I looking at Sakapon's player profile because he's Filipino and I like unique nationalities? No comment, Your Honour. Our scout who's actually looking at general transfer suggestions is throwing up some players who are pretty highly rated. Niall Lovelock here looks like a really good centre-back, mega consistent, and compared to Ellis Johnson, what he lacks in terms of, I suppose, speed and physicality, I think he more than makes up for in his ability on the ball. All of that, and he doesn't want to relocate here. Never mind. Not going to do this at every pre-season game, but Plymouth Argyle 4, Guernsey 1. Not a great start. I'll tell you what, though, on the flip side, we made £10,000 from that, and suddenly the overall balance is a little less angry and red. I don't want to say it too loudly. Might have found our centre-back. Brandon Purcell was playing for Plymouth Argyle. Let's make sure we send this offer. He was playing for Plymouth. He was released last year, 19 years old. Ignore the blurry photo. Let's look at the positives. He is a phenomenal defender, and you might have spotted it with the contract negotiation that we've got with him. He has committed to a 3-year contract, a long-term deal. He's a super consistent performer, has lots of potential. My scouts rate him really, really highly. You might have spotted the contract. I might have broken the bank to try and sign him. I don't want to admit I'm getting desperate in my player search, but I am currently just looking at people who were born in Guernsey to see if any of them maybe want to come home. Bad news, only one of them wants to come home, Liam. Liam's not very good. I have also just noticed that Alex Scott, who came through the Guernsey Academy and went to Bristol City, has now moved to Newcastle for £8.75 million. Really wish we'd had a sell-on clause on that. That could have been useful. Okay, this is absolutely massive. Brandon Purcell, the player who I've just talked about a few minutes ago for you guys, is actually joining us. I didn't think he was going to join me. I was getting ready to delete that bit that you've seen earlier from the video because Taunton Town, who were in the Vanarama National South last year, they went in for him. but he's actually turned them down to join our club where he feels like he'll get more regular first-team football. Now, it's £120 a week, 25% promotional wage rise. If he plays for England, we'll give him £300 a week. I don't think that's going to be happening. Worth noting, his appearance fee is £150. This is a really, really pricey deal, but he is absolutely exceptional. And having had a long hunt around, I'm not going to find another player as good as Scott Williams or even close to Scott Williams. Brandon Purcell is the best centre-back I can pick up. And whilst he's not as good as Williams, it's less that we're overpaying for Purcell and more that Williams is massively underpaid. So I'm going to confirm this deal. Apparently he has potential to be a Vanarama National North or South player down the line. That's what I want to hear. That's a few leagues above where we are right now. It's a 3-year contract as well. This is a long-term investment with Brandon Purcell, but I'm hoping he's going to be worth it. He looks phenomenal, mega consistent player. He's the missing piece of the puzzle, at least in terms of the defence. We now have a defence that I'm happy with for the new season. Still need a left midfielder, still need some backup wingers, still have loads of players in on trial, but we're getting there. Also, Frankie Tobin has had an offer from Tavistock. This is the issue with those pay-as-you-go contracts. Players might get poached. Little pre-season update. We've been battered in most games, but we've been scoring goals. So let's look at that as a positive against very good Football League opposition. And with the friendlies and pre-season season ticket sales, we're back in the black for the balance. Good news, I've got a left mid. It is Ryan Waters, one of the Director of Football recommended players. We need left wingers kind of badly at this point. We've got about 2.5 weeks till the season starts. Just comparing him with Matt Loring, who of course is our other left midfielder option in the team. A little bit quicker, a little bit better technically. 25 years old is Ryan, £70 a week. I think it's a pretty good contract. It is a 2-year deal, and I suppose we should stick him in the starting 11. I'm not going to sit and claim it's exactly how I had imagined it was going to be, but we do actually now have an official starting 11. Livingston on the right. How does he compare with Waters on the left? He must be way better. Yeah, between these two guys, they might not have a lot of mentals. They might not have the world's greatest technicals, but they're fast. That counts for a lot at this level. So a player who I'm desperate to sign is Matthew Nolan here. I actually sent a scout to Northern Ireland to look at him. That's how you know I'm serious. This man was available as a free agent in the Northern Ireland under-18s team. He was released by Belinda Mallard. I don't know if I've said that correctly. Northern Irish viewers, let me know. He does have a few big negatives. Massively inconsistent, very injury prone, super competitive. But he's agreed to sign for £30 a week for 3 years. I have already signed Alfie Clark this pre-season. Matthew Nolan is 17 on way less money. He's definitely better. Breathe a sigh of relief, Tobin fan club. He's turned down the offer from Tavistock. And to make things even better, I've got a new backup right winger. Lucas Davidson, the right mid who we looked at through the Director of Football suggestions, a man who was just chilling out in, well, the non-leagues of Scotland. He's joining us as a backup right mid, even though I might have told him he's a regular starter. He is a backup. £30 a week, small appearance fee. Finally, we're getting some depth in those wide areas. And just to compare him to Kai Livingston, he's a bit like Kai Livingston's little brother. They're very much cut from the same cloth. Two very good right midfielder, kind of winger options. Feeling good about this team now. So with Lucas Davidson joining us, this is how the first team looks right now. And to be honest, it's starting to actually look like a squad. A team of 22 players. I think with 2 left mids, 2 right mids, maybe we're lacking a third option for either side. Ideally, we'd get someone who can play both sides, but beggars can't really be choosers at this level. That's something we're going to be looking out for. In terms of defence, I think the depth is as good as it needs to be. Of course, with there being no transfer window, we can freely sign and sell players and rotate things around as we see fit. And in terms of strikers, we already had a load of attackers. We've still got a load of attackers. As things stand, my 2 centre mids are still Vaughan and Grooms. I still really want to get in another centre mid. Someone who's going to be that player alongside Vaughan who can just allow him to have a ton of creative freedom. Good news as well, we've actually still got a little bit of the wage budget left to make that happen. £382, so the hunt goes on. A centre mid, the order of the day. And if you're wondering, hey Jack, what's happened to all the trialists? I've just got them filtered out. They're all still here, but they kind of make me nervous when they're all here. And I know what you're thinking. Wow, Jack, the ones up here are really good. They're not really good. They're really overrated by my staff. I've just sat and said I need someone who can play on the right and left. I've actually got Nesta Shako in on trial. Completely forgot that I've got him in on trial. He's just hiding away. This man is not fantastic, but as a third choice on the left and right hand side, He could be really good. He's been without a club for a lot of years since Yeovil let him go. I'm hoping he's going to be cheap. I did kind of want to sign this guy permanently, but he didn't want to sign it no matter what. So we've agreed to a non-contract where he can leave if he wants at any point, or he could be poached away from another club. Good news, he acts as depth, and, well, he's not going to cost us a lot. £0 per week. If he plays, then we have to start to pay him a lot, but he's going to be the third choice on both wings. We shouldn't be playing him often enough for it to affect our bottom line. Continuing the search for a centre mid option, Goran Babic here, former Southampton youngster, was interested in talking to us. I wondered if it might be like some of the other players we've talked to previously. Interesting to note, yes, his wage demands are a little on the higher side, but they're not completely unreasonable. I'm wondering if Southampton have released a load of players who might now actually talk to me. Little tip here, when you're doing a lower league save, if you know there's some big clubs in and around you, don't be afraid to look at players who are homegrown for them. In this case, we've already seen that Babic was homegrown at Southampton. I'm interested to see what players are also trained at Southampton here. And in fact, it looks like there's a load of players who have trained at Southampton who are interested. You know what? We might as well just take them all on trial. Am I considering signing this man because his name is Bell Baggy? Maybe. He does look quite good, though. Can play on the left, can play on the right. 6 caps for Sierra Leone. And to be fair, he did also get 9 goals for Gosport. I don't know which of those 2 achievements is more impressive. He wants an appearance fee of £425. I can't pay him that. Another beautiful thing about the lower leagues of England, you can have pretty much any pitch size you want. So there's not really strict regulations. And with our current team, with us having a team full of fairly athletic, quick players, especially in the wide areas, I'm going to ask for the maximum allowed pitch size. I want a massive pitch this year. When I look at our defence, when I look at our players in the wider areas and our strikers, we are the king of speed when it comes to acceleration. Big balls over the top for these guys to run onto. That's going to be the order of the day this season. So Matthew Nolan, the left back I mentioned earlier, has agreed to join us. Apparently he's good enough to be a regular starter. The fans are going to B-. I think that could be the understatement of the year. At 17, if he doesn't let these negatives get him down, if he doesn't get injured too much, I think he's going to be quality. The Alfie Clark era at left back, it lasted 3 weeks of pre-season, but what a 3 weeks it was. Nesta Shako has joined the club, in on trial already, been here a little while. We know what to expect from him. He's not the craziest of players, but as a versatile option, but he's exactly what the doctor ordered. I don't want to say we've done some good transfer business, but the promotion odds have been updated for the year, and we're ahead of Wimborne Town, so take that, Wimborne Town. You can't buy success. Probably a couple of things to acknowledge about that. Our salary per year spend is currently higher than theirs. And on top of that, being predicted to win the league doesn't really equate to success. I'll tell you what does equate to success, though. This deal. He's back, everyone. Dylan Crowe, the hero of last year's Park to Prem. He's going to be playing for us. This time, he's going to be playing as a centre mid for us. Have I lost the plot? I don't think so. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I might have lost the plot slightly. The former England under-18 international has joined us. At 22 years old, he is, well, starting to enter his prime. Loads of room to improve. I think he is going to be the man donning the captain's armband before too long. Probably should also just remember to now train him as a centre mid. I think he's going to play as a ball-winning midfielder. He'll probably end up playing right back at some point for us. But the versatility is, to be honest, just a really good Brucey bonus. I've assembled a new midfield. I've got some new defenders in. I think this is a team that can and will get promoted this year. I just need to hope there's no lasting damage as a result of this pre-season, because we have just been battered in every game. But our players' pain is our gain. We've got £40,000 in the bank. Things are looking a bit more positive. And to be honest, with all the transfers we've done now, if I don't get promoted, I'm gonna feel very, very sad. I have just noticed, apparently we are in the process of a board takeover. Hopefully that doesn't amount to anything. So I have been sat here recording for 3.5 hours for this video. There were a couple of breaks I took during it, but it has been a massive mammoth task. That said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It probably is a little on the longer side, so if you want more long videos like this one has to do quite well. So Algorithm Ultras assemble, share this video around, leave a comment. Let me know what you make of our new transfers. Is there any position or any player where I should feel disappointed? Should I be playing Dylan Crowe at right back? and getting in a new centre mid. I am beginning to wonder that myself. Regardless, I have had an absolute blast playing through this preseason. I am very excited for the start of the new season. And well, the good news for you is that the series continues with its normal weekday schedule tomorrow. We will be here, same time and place, starting season 2. I hope you are excited. Thank you for watching today's video. Have a lovely rest of your Sunday. And until next time, it's me, Jack, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.